Hey guys, welcome back to the HVAC Standard, the place for your HVAC needs. It doesn't matter if you're a homeowner, a technician, or just some person that likes to watch heating and air videos on YouTube. That's cool too. I'm into that, whatever. So this is your place. I want to say thank you to all the current subscribers out there, all the likes, the shares, the comments, all that kind of stuff. It's awesome. So I want to say thank you. I do appreciate it. I do want to let everybody know that the memberships are available for the Standard. So you can get early access to videos and a bunch of other benefits and things like that for the channel. So that's available. Check the channel out. And then for the future subscribers out there, don't worry, there's still time. You still have access to that subscribe button down there. So go ahead and hit that for me if you would. Give it a big thumbs up too if you like the video, because, you know, I like to know what everybody thinks. So there's still time. You can hit that subscribe button. You know, YouTubers always ask for that kind of thing. So you know what to do. Just hit the buttons, because that's just a cool thing to do. Now, as far as today, I want to talk about home and air conditioning efficiencies. Everybody always asks, how do I make my air conditioner more efficient? Well, the first thing you got to look at is there's two parts to that. You have the air conditioner itself. You have the unit or the equipment that's actually cooling the space. So you have the efficiency of the system, but then you also have the structure. So your structure, if it's your house, if it's a building of some sorts, an office, I don't really care what it is, a building or structure of some sorts, it has to be efficient as well as the air conditioner or the equipment itself. Because if your structure is not efficient, well, it doesn't matter what air conditioner you put in it, because you just don't end up being efficient. You can find the most efficient air conditioner you could possibly find out there and install it on a cardboard box. Well, that air conditioner is efficient. I mean, the ratings that it gives are good and, you know, all that kind of thing. But the structure is a cardboard box. We all know a cardboard box is probably, you don't even have to know anything about heating and air to get the idea that a cardboard box is probably not very damn efficient, right? It's a cardboard box. So the structure itself has to be efficient as well, because that cardboard box is not going to cool very well. You can blow a lot of cold air in it, but the cold air ain't going to stay. That is the key to the structure you have to look at, is that cold air going to stay? So, you know, home efficiencies, which I've done a couple videos on those as well. I'd like to do some more, but I think we have to talk about it again when we talk about AC or air conditioning efficiencies. The structure matters. You know, we have to be well insulated. Everybody always forgets about the insulation in the house, where they say, oh, it's great, I got all kinds of fiberglass up there, it's great. Fiberglass insulation isn't that great. If you don't believe me, I mean, find a third party. Go out there, and there's all kinds of stuff online about what R values are, how to read R values, and all that kind of thing. You know, the truth of fiberglass is that it has been used for a lot of years, and they make all different kinds of it. You can get the different colors, and the Pink Panther like does commercials and all kinds of stuff, whatever. But there's all kinds of it out there, and I mean, they make some big thick stuff, and then people like put a couple layers on top of each other and all this kind of stuff. Fiberglass still is not a great insulator. Two, I don't want fiberglass in my house. Do you want to be breathing that kind of stuff? Fiberglass is just not a good insulator. It does have an R value to it, and it does provide some. Some's better than none, but these days with so many options out there available on the market, why would you settle for like the lowest you can get? You know, you might as well insulate right if we're talking about efficiencies, because we want everything to be efficient as a whole. So, you know, that insulation matters. Everybody always forgets about their attic. Nobody ever goes to their attic. You know, around here where I'm at, we have, I would say, I don't know if it's 50-50, but it's probably pretty close, 50-50 crawl space basement underneath. So a lot of times the equipment is in the basement or on the main floor, and the ductwork runs underneath. A lot of times there is return ductwork in the attic. I know there's other places, there's going to be people jump up and talk about, oh, we only put them in the attic. I get it. There's other areas, especially down south, there's a lot of attic units and things. We have attic units here, just it's not the most common. So, you know, there's a lot of houses, people don't ever see their attic, or they don't ever go up there. Even if your equipment's up there, a lot of homeowners don't actually ever see their attic. That is one of the #1 places, or one of the easiest places that you can improve the efficiency of the insulation. You know, your walls and things, unless you're tearing everything out, there's not a whole lot you can do. You know, there are different ways, and if you're doing some remodeling and things, you know, that's the time, but on average, that's pretty hard to do, and you're going to have a pretty costly expense. If you got the time, the effort, and the money, hey, go for it. That's, I mean, more power to you. But that attic, a lot of times they can be re-insulated. Now you want to talk to a contractor that actually does insulation. I'm a big believer in blown in cellulose. I think for attics, I think it is number one the way to go. There's all different kinds of methods out there. There's people using new wool. It's a type of blown in. They do blown in fiberglass. Again, I'm not a believer in fiberglass. I don't want to be breathing that stuff, and you cannot tell me, I don't care what insulator tells me what, that fiberglass is not going to make it into the house and into the airstream. I think that's crap. You're not gonna find me blowing a fiberglass in my house. I'll tell you that much. So, there's a lot of different options. New wool is an option. Personally, I'm not a big believer because you have to put double the amount of new wool that you do cellulose. People complain that, well, cellulose is dusty and things, but I mean, after it settles a little bit in there, which it doesn't settle much, but they always do add just a little bit for any kind of settling over time. There's not too much of a mess with it. And it is a very easy way to improve your attic insulation efficiency. So if we can keep that cold air in, that's going to make our house more efficient, because the heat gain from, if it's 90, 95, 105 degrees outside, that heat's trying to get in. That heat is beating down on your roof, and that heat is eventually going to make it into your house, unless it has a barrier of insulation of some sort to try to protect from that thermal gain that your house is seeing. So that attic insulation is a very, very easy way to improve the efficiency of your house. Talk to an insulator, talk to a contractor that does this. They can give you the numbers, the specs, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to try to blow all that those numbers up your nose kind of thing, because that's not what I do. That's not what I deal with every day. But I know the insulation has to be better. Talk to a contractor that does it every day, and they can give you the information. As far as your windows, obviously we have to have good windows in the house if we're looking for efficiencies. It's just what it is. Don't come at me and tell me, oh, I've got the best windows Andersen made in the 70s. Well, that's great. Windows they make now are a lot better than the Andersen windows they made in the 70s. Sorry to break it to you. We have to have good sealed up, double, triple pane windows, whatever, with low E on them. That way they can protect against all that thermal air, the radiant, and air leakage and all that kind of stuff. Make sure you got good windows. That's going to make a difference. The house itself has to be kept efficient, and try to keep some of that cold air in there to make the system as a whole more efficient. Ductwork is a big thing. Have a contractor check your ductwork out, so make sure you don't have leakage. If your ductwork is in the attic, the crawl space, even basement, anything like that, we don't want a bunch of air leaks, because if you're generating those BTUs with that air conditioner, wouldn't it be smart to put all those BTUs into the house rather than into the crawl space or into the attic or whatever? I've got another video out there talking about heating with leaky ductwork in the crawl space. Check that one out. That'll explain a little bit more about the ductwork side of it. But have a contractor come out and check that out. See what the ductwork looks like. Make sure it's in good shape. A lot of times if there is something wrong, they can make minor repairs. It doesn't mean you have to replace all of it. Now they may recommend that, and that may be the route to go. But, don't always look worst case scenario. I think that's what so many people do when it comes to ductwork. They always think, oh, I got to replace it all, and it's going to cost me $20,000. No. More than likely not. Most of the time not. Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes you need it replaced. It's just what it is. But don't be afraid of it. At least get the information. That way you know what you're looking at. So I think that's one of my biggest things on ductwork. But check the other video out. We've got a little bit more about leaky ductwork on that one. But, the home itself has to be efficient. And then we have the equipment. Number one for the equipment. Number one that you have to make sure. And I know I preach this in all of my videos, or at least a good majority of the videos, is maintenance. Do maintenance on your air conditioner. Don't believe this old wives' tale stuff that is just a gimmick. It is not. Most people out there in America have a car, or a large majority have vehicles of some sorts. You don't drive that thing forever without doing maintenance on it, right? You make sure there's air in the tires, you change the oil, all the basic stuff. You got mechanics looking at air filters, cabin air filters, engine air filters, all this kind of stuff. Why would you not do that with your HVAC system? I mean, think about what these things cost these days. Depending on what area you're in, I mean, you could be looking anywhere from, I'm going to speculate, there's a lot of different areas out there, but I mean, if you're looking at $8,000 to $40,000 to put this system in, why in the world would you not take care of it? It's just, you know, it's just the smart thing to do for me, but maybe I'm just too used to the industry and I guess know what it takes to keep an air conditioner running. I mean, that is one of the big things, is have a qualified technician come look at it every year and make sure it's doing what it's supposed to. A lot of times they can fix little problems before they turn into big problems. They will clean it. If they're not cleaning it, then they're not doing it right. Find a different contractor, you know, all that kind of stuff. I've got some other videos actually out there about maintenance as well, but it goes a little more in depth with it, but just make sure you're getting maintenance done. The condenser coils, they've got to be cleaned. If they don't clean, you lose capacity. Anytime you lose capacity, you lose efficiency. You know, if that house was sized for a let's say a 3-ton air conditioner, and that condenser coil out there is packed full of dirt, grass, cottonwood seed, all the stuff that likes to get in there and restricts that air, your head pressure's running high, you will start losing capacity. And now you had a 3-ton air conditioner when it was clean, and now you've lost all that capacity, and you're basically cooling your house with a 1.5 ton or a 2-ton air conditioner. You know, you might be able to get by when it's mild out, but when it's 95 degrees out, you ain't getting by. And even if it were to be able to maintain, which chances are it won't, if it were to be able to maintain, it's going to run constantly. And it's at minimum going to run more often or longer run cycles than it should. And I mean, it's basically like trying to cool a house with an air conditioner that's too small. It's just not efficient. It's going to run your electric bill up, and it is just going to eat into that efficiency that we are trying to gain with these systems. So make sure everything's clean, make sure it's washed up, everything like it's supposed to. Use a qualified contractor to do this, because they know how to take it apart and make sure each little nook and cranny and all that kind of stuff is clean. You know, trust me on this. I'm not trying to sell you anything. On these videos, I do not sell you anything as far as services. I'm not going to come out to your house, more than likely. I'm not going to come out to your house and charge you to clean your air conditioner. That's not what I do. So, you know, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm telling you, it's legit. You need to have it cleaned. And then one of the other things, and that is your responsibility, but a contractor can help you with it as well, is your air filter inside. That air filter, just because it's in your furnace, doesn't mean it's just for heating season. That is any season you've got, air conditioning, heating, whatever. That air filter has to be cleaned. 1-inch filters are 30-day filters max. I don't care what this Filtrete and all these other people out there want to say, oh, we got a 90-day filter. It's the Filtrete 19,000. You know, I don't give a crap what their number is, because actually, if you try to look that up, I have, and their ratings as far as, well, if you use the 1200 Filtrete, or if you use the 1400 Filtrete, or even the 1600 Filtrete, that whole scale is their own internal scale. That is not like the HVAC scale. That is not an industry scale. That is strictly by their manufacturer, and they're saying, yep, 1400 is better than the 1200. We got no other backing behind that, but that's what we got. So Filtrete, I'm sorry to be a butt in this video, but if you want to sponsor me, I mean, hit me up. I will maybe change some of my wording a little, maybe a little, if you wanted to sponsor me. But other than that, until then, you suck. I hate to break it to you. I won't buy your filters, and I won't recommend anybody else do, because I think you try to cheat the system by making your own scale. Personal opinions. Maybe I should cut that out. Nah, I don't do much editing. I probably won't cut that out. But filters are important. 30 days, no matter what, on a 1-inch filter. They make cartridge filters, high efficiency filters, which I personally believe in. They make some great ones like Air Bear. Makes an awesome one. General Air makes some. April Air makes some. There's a bunch of them out there. The 5-inch high capacity, high efficiency filters, awesome filters. Most cases 4 to 6 months, somewhere in that range. Pull the thing out, throw it away, and put a new one in. Well worth the investment. Actually, if you do the math on them, most of the time they come in the same or cheaper than changing a 1-inch filter every 30 days like you're supposed to. Everybody always says, oh, that's an expensive filter. It's like 40 bucks. Okay. Go buy one of these junk Filtrete 1-inch ones every 30 days like you're actually supposed to, and do it every 30 days for 6 months, and what's that add up to? Imagine that. So anyways, make sure you're using a good filter. Make sure it's clean, because anytime you slow that airflow down through that air handler, through that furnace, whatever you're doing, you're slowing that air down, and in air conditioning, you're slowing the air down that goes through that evaporator coil. You slow the air down, For one, you don't have much evaporation. The whole point of that coil is for freon refrigerant evaporation within the coil. You change that whole dynamic of what your superheat is in that system when you change the airflow. So you got to make sure you have proper airflow so that air conditioner can do what it's supposed to. The other side of that is if you start cutting back the airflow, the superheat value goes really low in that evaporator coil. That means you've got liquid refrigerant returning back on your suction line to the compressor, which will eventually, it's not an if, it will destroy your compressor eventually. And then you've got a really big expensive fix, or you're going to have to buy a new air conditioner. One of the two. Hate to break it to you. That's what it is. Like I've said before in these videos, I don't usually try to sugarcoat things. Hopefully I'm not offending anybody here. I mean, Filtrete, I probably offended you. I mean, but I feel with Filtrete about the same I do with Carrier. As far as the manufacturer Carrier, absolute crap. I will not support Carrier in any fact, unless you want to sponsor me, and then I'm probably still not going to talk well about Carrier. I don't like Carrier. It's just absolute junk. They're just pompous engineers that come up with all kinds of stupid ideas that cost the end user way too much freaking money. And I'm probably going to get a bunch of hate mail over that one, because there's going to be a bunch of Carrier people on here that are like, Carrier's the best, blah blah blah, because Carrier dealers are ate up with themselves on how they've got the best, and it's been proven that they aren't. They're just really expensive, and they buy all their Consumer Reports standings, so they get really high in America. So, you know, whatever. So yeah, I probably ought to cut that out, but I'm not going to. That's my rant on Filtrete and Carrier and how equally pompous they are. Filters are wildly important. Make sure you are changing your filters when you're supposed to. If you don't know when, you don't know how, call a contractor. You're supposed to be doing maintenance anyways. When they come out, ask them. They can help you and set you up. If you want to buy filters from them, I'm guessing they sell them. If you don't want to and you want to buy them on your own and you think you're saving some money, go for that. Whatever makes you feel happy inside. I don't care, as long as your filters are getting changed. You know, and then as far as the equipment itself, if it is time to replace, or when it does come time to replace, make sure you're getting efficient equipment. There's a lot of new equipment out there these days. If somebody tries to sell you bottom of the barrel, ask them what options you've got. Now, if your budget affords bottom of the barrel, that's fine. There's a lot of good economy systems out there. But if the budget does afford it, don't always just go cheap. Because I mean, it's kind of like buying a vehicle. You're not going to automatically go to the car lot and automatically look for the cheapest car on the lot, because chances are it doesn't give you everything you really want. Now, I'm also not the guy that goes to a car lot and says, hey, what is your most expensive vehicle you have? I'm not that guy. I mean, I'm a middle of the road guy, like the average American. I mean, it is statistically proven that the average American is like middle of the road in selection of that kind of thing as far as large investments. I'm just saying that there is good equipment out there. Personally, as far as air conditioning, I wouldn't buy anything less than a 16 SEER. That's me. Now, there are a lot of 13 and 14 SEER air conditioners out there. Not saying that they're horrible, but as far as efficiency goes, I'm a 16 and higher kind of guy. The SEER rating itself, I've actually got another video out there about that. That's a whole government conspiracy on the actual SEER rating. Now they've got SEER 2, whatever that crap is. I think somebody from Carrier or Filtrete is probably on that government board. The SEER rating is a joke. But the efficiency number, usually the higher the number, does equate to better equipment. More efficiency. We get into two-stage compressors. We get into making sure they have hard starts or start assists on them, so it's better for the longevity. And variable speed motors, you know, all this kind of stuff. There are a lot of benefits. Check out my one of my videos about the SEER ratings and all that kind of stuff, because it goes a little more in depth about all that. This video's gone a lot longer than I thought it would, but you know, there's so many things out there with it. So watch it in little pieces or something like that. either way, I hope that it helps a little bit with some of the questions that I see on how do I make my equipment or my air conditioner more efficient. There's so many little things that the average person, you don't even have to be a heating air contractor. There's so many little things that the average person can do to make their system better. And a lot of it does start with talking to a contractor. Get their opinion on your system. I can tell you all kinds of things, but I can tell you, oh yeah, the furnaces are always on the main floor of the house, or they're always in the basement. In your area, maybe they're not. I mean, that's a good average, but not all of them are. So, talk to somebody local and get somebody in there, have them do a maintenance on everything, have them check everything out, make sure it's safe, make sure it's efficient, as most efficient as it possibly can be, and it's doing what it's supposed to. So that's the biggest thing. If you have anything whatsoever, hit me up in the comments. Carrier, Filtrete, and how about the government with this whole SEER thing? If you got any hate mail, hit me up. I would absolutely love to get hate mail from Carrier or the American government. That would kind of trip my trigger too, because if I do, I will totally share it with all you guys out there, so be looking for that. And like I said before, there are memberships available, so you get some early access to some different content, as well as some extra perks and bonuses and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot out there, and if you haven't subscribed, there's still time. Go ahead and hit that button. You know what we always ask for. Please subscribe. It really does mean a lot. But again, if you have anything at all, hate mail included, hit me up in the comments. Otherwise, thank you and God bless.